Hello and welcome to Tar Heel Teachers Presents, a conversation with the 2021 Burroughs Wellcome Fund North Carolina Teachers of the Year. I'm Marlow Artis. I am so happy and thrilled to speak with the 2021 Regional Teacher of the Year team. It's a great pleasure to chat with this dynamic group of teacher leaders. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Really excited to have everybody here. So most of you have been on the program before, but we want to make sure our audience knows exactly who you are. So let's go ahead and introduce yourselves, and we'll start with our current Teacher of the Year, our State Teacher of the Year. You're all Teachers of the Year. Our State Teacher of the Year, Eugenia Floyd.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eugenia Floyd, and I am the 2021 Burroughs Wellcome Fund North Carolina Teacher of the Year, and I am a fourth grade literacy teacher from Mary Scroggs Elementary School in the Chapel Hill-Carrboro City Schools. My Twitter handle is @Gina4Lit.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Attkisson, the 2021 Burroughs Wellcome Fund Northeast Region Teacher of the Year. I teach with Edenton-Chowan schools. I'm a first grade teacher at White Oak Elementary School.
And hello, I'm Jenny Bryan. I'm the 2021 Burroughs Wellcome Fund Southeast Regional Teacher of the Year. I teach AP US History at South Brunswick High School down in Brunswick County Schools. This is my 12th year teaching. You can follow me on Twitter at @JBiserBryan.
Hello, I am Nicole Rivers. I am the 2021 Burroughs Wellcome Fund Sandhills Regional Teacher of the Year. I teach in Cumberland County Schools at Grace Creek High School. I teach 11th graders. I teach English 3, which is American Lit. And you can follow me on Twitter at Nicole Rivers81.
Hello, I'm Kelly Poquette, the 2021 Burroughs Wellcome Fund Piedmont Triad Region Teacher of the Year. I'm a K-5 music educator at the Alamance Virtual School and the Alamance-Burlington School System. And I would love to join you on Twitter, so please connect. I'm at KA Poquette.
Hi, I'm Sizoo-Roberson. I'm the 2021 Southwest North Carolina Burroughs Wellcome Fund Teacher of the Year, and I teach with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. I teach Math 1, Math 8, and Math 2 at Piedmont Middle School.
Hello, I'm Erin Ellington, the 2021 Northwest Region Teacher of the Year. I teach K-8 music in Watauga County at Mabel and Parkway schools, and this is my 17th year teaching. And please follow me on Twitter at @EllingtonErinM.
Hi, I'm Susanna Serrato. I am the 2021 Burroughs Wellcome Fund Western Region Teacher of the Year. I teach 3rd grade for Asheville City Schools. This will be my 11th year in the classroom. And you can follow me on Twitter at Susanna Serrato.
Hi, I'm Jeremy White, and I am the 2021 Burroughs Wellcome Fund Charter School Teacher of the Year. I teach in Lincoln County at Westlake Preparatory Academy. I teach kindergarten, and I am in my 11th year of teaching. And you can follow me on Twitter at That's Mr. White.
Awesome. I mean, we have so much talent on this team and so much diversity on this team in terms of experience and content. How have you all been able to really gel as a team and really come up with a common focus?
Well, I'll go ahead and get us started, Marlo. First and foremost, I really want to say thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to be here. I know we've all seen many episodes of your show and the all-stars that you have on it. So we're truly privileged to be in your virtual presence. As you already know, we are the 2021 Burroughs Wellcome Fund North Carolina Regional Teachers of the Year. And in our role, we've come together as a team in an effort to uplift our profession. And we do this so that the 1.5 million children of North Carolina can get the education that they rightly deserve. Back in December, when we were all announced as Regional Teachers of the Year in our different regions and charter schools, we spent some time just getting to know each other. So we got on a Zoom call just like this, and we made a commitment to meet bi-weekly just to really understand each other, understanding our strengths, understanding our passions. And we've been continuing that since. One of the greatest perks of being a Regional Teacher of the Year is that we were invited to, as a team, to the Teacher Leadership Institute Professional Development, which is at NCAT, and we went to the Ocracoke campus. And in this space, we continue to sharpen our skills as leaders, and we developed a vision and mission of what we as the 2021 Regional Teachers of the Year really want to accomplish for students and educators of the state of North Carolina.
Wow.
Our vision
Go ahead, Susanna. Go ahead.
We developed a vision, and it really did come out of the current climate, coming out of the not out of the pandemic, we're deeply still in it, but out of the first phase of the pandemic, we really felt that what emerged was a priority around teacher voice and making sure teachers felt empowered, making sure they felt involved in decisions that greatly impacted them, and most importantly, their students. And so after a lot of discussion around these priorities, we determined a vision for our cohort for the next year. It's elevating students by empowering educators, that we can't see the prioritization of our students unless we're seeing an empowerment of our teachers as leaders, as voices, as educators.
And so,
go ahead, Erin.
And just along those lines, in addition to our vision, along with that goes our mission. It was very clear from the beginning that when we started to hear about what was happening in different parts of the state in each of our regions, while there is a lot different, as has already been said, the very two common themes are students are first, but the most important voices for our students are the educators, and that's bus drivers, that's student nutrition workers, it's principals, it's teachers, it's the folks that are with our students every day. And so along with our vision, our mission is to ensure all students receive a high quality, equitable education. We will hear, connect, and support the educators of North Carolina so that they are elevated, activated, and empowered in their commitment to students. And along with our vision and mission, we also developed some action goals to more concretely articulate how we will follow through.
So our first goal was to connect our stakeholders in our mission. And so we all come together with that common mission and common goals, but we all bring varying talents and experiences and connections. And so as we bring together those voices and work together as a team, we are working to communicate with our board and communicate with the teachers in our region and with our regional educational facilitators and with our building staff to empower and elevate our educators across the state. We've reached out to all 8 of our regions and charter schools with communications and surveys, and we are engaging them and letting them know that we are a pipeline for their voice to be heard across the state. We are engaging our sponsors and other organizations across our state to execute our mission. For example, Gina has already talked about our NCAT retreat. That was amazing. And so we want to filter that throughout the teachers in our state for regional teachers of the year, district teachers of the year, beginning teachers of the year. It is such a phenomenal resource that we have within our state. And then of course, Burroughs Wellcome Fund, which has amazing resources that it is a great goal of ours to connect across the state and get these resources out to ensure that our children have equitable access to an equal education across our state.
That's really great. So let's talk about NCAT for a moment. I mean, I saw the photos and saw the pictures and saw your videos. It looked like you all had a really great time. So talk about your experience, and let's really unpack the experience that you had an impact because NCAT, excuse me, because some of our educators have not had an opportunity to go to NCAT, and some of our educators just don't even know how refreshing it can be, how refilling it can be. So let's really talk about your experience at NCAT. I know you all went this summer.
So I'll speak first on that. What was so beneficial about NCAT, even before we had gotten there, because we started to have relationships with each other and we started to see each other's perspective and we started to understand how all of education connects from K through 12. And we usually as educators, we oftentimes out of just habit, we get into silos. And sometimes we get into our own head and we start thinking, maybe I'm the only one who feels like this. This can't be happening across the entire state. It's probably just me. It's probably just my school. It's probably just, my class. And so when we started making relationships with each other over Zoom, we started to realize it wasn't just us. We were all feeling passionate in the same way. And there was a reason that all 9 of us were chosen. And when we got to NCAT was such an experience to where it kind of forced us to continue to grow off of that relationship that we'd already built. And for educators that have not been yet, it's a great opportunity to allow your feelings validity towards your passion for education, because now you are being forced to connect with people you otherwise wouldn't have met because of quite simply just space. You're not going, the Western region is not going to be with the Eastern region, Northeast and Sandhills and charters, but what all those different educators being able to come in, it's a PD experience like no other I've ever been to, because usually it's a regional thing or even a district or a local level with your district going to a certain PD and you see the same people. But this really helped us understand how we all are a part of this entire state for all 1.5 million kids, because there were things we were even learning about on the very local levels of Ocracoke, of things that they had to deal with their kids. And we're thinking to ourselves, goodness, we never even had to think about these ideas and be proactive because we're not in that part of the state. So it really forced us to continue our ideas of we are part of something bigger. And we were able to really hone in as a team during that time to really hammer out the mission, the vision, and these action goals. So any educator that is thinking about NCAT but hasn't pulled the trigger on, I would absolutely do it, because you will meet other educators, like-minded, passionate educators that you otherwise would not have seen.
But Jeremy, don't let our viewers not realize that NCAT is not all work, right? NCAT is play. Right. In fact, I sometimes play. I specifically remember saying, y'all, I feel like we're on a cruise ship. So for those of you who have never visited Ocracoke or had the chance to go specifically to the NCAT campus on Ocracoke, so it is housed in what was formerly the Coast Guard's station there on Ocracoke. And we were literally surrounded on almost every side by water. The facilities there are beautiful. We were fed very well, just as well or even better than you would be on a cruise ship. And of course, there's excursions, just like a cruise ship. You can go out, and we got to see the Ocracoke community, got to experience some of the beauty there. And I have had the opportunity to go to the Cullowhee campus as well. And I could say and give it just as high reviews. And if you have not been to NCAT, please go. They have a little something for everyone. Oftentimes you can get your travel paid for, your substitute paid for, and of course, just attending NCAT is free. And that is one of the greatest professional perks that we have as North Carolina public school teachers. So I cannot say enough great things about the NCAT experience, both the professional, but also the fun and relaxation that can happen there as well.
And I totally agree. I'm sorry. Y'all, I am an NCAT fan, y'all. Y'all know I'm a veteran. I've been living there for years, since I was a beginning teacher, my first year. So we have had 15 plus year journey with NCAT, and I love it. And I do want to say one thing that tends to hold teachers back from going is they think because the professional development doesn't perfectly align with their content area, they think it's not for them. And that is not true. That's a fallacy. You can be challenged to think and grow in different ways when you expose yourself to different information. And I have revamped my teaching over and over and over again based on the professionals. Like when I say the presenters are like none other, top notch, worth every bit of your time, because I have to drive that 4 or 5 hours to either campus. It's a 5-hour trip from where I am. It is definitely worth it. I have never gone there and said, oh, well, I could have got this, right around the corner in my county, because that's just simply not the truth. They have top notch professionals come in and present, and I've been there for science ones on the brain for movement in the classroom. And when we were there, they brought the Coast Guard in. And it was absolutely amazing. And they were teaching us about teamwork and leadership. And we got to learn about the challenges, even the challenges where they brought in, Truist, BB&T's new name for their leadership group. And they showed us the challenges of changing the minds of others. And when you want to set an initiative, how you're going to have this curve that goes down before it goes up, and preparing yourself for those things. So I think it prepared us as a team to know that when you're going to affect change, that you have to steel yourself for the journey, and bringing in those other professionals and the way they face challenges and natural disasters just helped us understand that all the more.
So when I think about our mission, and when we think about what I just spoke about as a goal for connecting stakeholders to the mission, NCAT definitely does that. Anytime a teacher has been, we hear about empowering them as an educator. I know leaving this summer, I felt very empowered as an educator, and that in turn affects our students in a positive way. It elevates our students.
And I'd like to just say that I have the audacity to believe that that educators are the experts on what children need in their education. And I think I have to lift up the fact that NCAT was created by a teacher. Mm-hmm. So it is, if you don't want to go for any other reason, you know that someone created this, brought this idea to not only their district, their schools, and they brought it to the State Board of Education so that this opportunity to grow in our craft could be given to all and be an option for all educators in North Carolina.
Yes, Miss Jean Powell, 1983. She's one of my heroes. She was a teacher in Clinton City Schools. She's very impressive, and we, continue to benefit from her legacy. So tell us about some of the ways that you all have really been reaching out to teachers in the field, getting their feedback, and what are some of the things that you've heard from teachers, and how were you able to take that information and help to move the needle forward in education? Cece, tell us about it.
Sure. So one of the things that we've been really focused on is really improving access to teachers everywhere and having their voices actually be heard in different spheres. So in each of our individual districts, we kind of came to the awareness that it's the same several teachers who are often invited to the same places to give feedback. And so you're really only getting a narrow scope of what the different teachers in different subjects and different schools throughout our state have to offer. And all of us have important lessons that are really relevant to what needs to be happening at the state level and in decision making. So we've done a lot to sort of do our best to bridge the gap between the state superintendent, between the legislature, and between individual teachers in classrooms. So we are working currently to establish teacher leadership councils within our regions. So we've recently started reaching out to our district teachers of the year and inviting them to be part of this conversation, so that we are able to kind of be a liaison between Gina and the rest of the people working up at the state level and teachers that are there in the classrooms every day, all throughout our state.
Marlow, one exciting thing that I've been able to see happen is, so I've been very fortunate in Brunswick County that Brunswick County has had a long established teacher advisory council that as our 2020-2021 Brunswick County Teacher of the Year, I facilitated last year. And when I came and met these group of people, I found out that that's not something that necessarily happens in all districts across the state. In fact, I think Brunswick County has traditionally been the exception rather than the rule to having local teacher advisory councils. And so it's been really encouraging for me to be able to share our model in Brunswick County. And Kelly, and I know Susanna can talk about what they have been able to get started in their districts with the assistance and being able to take the Brunswick County model and make it work for them in their districts.
I can say Jenny was an inspiration and mean it. So in Alamance County, we didn't have any kind of teacher leadership. Well, there was different things, but nothing like under the realm of Teacher of the Year. So you got the Teacher of the Year title and you received a delightful and generous prize package, and there really wasn't a super role for them to do. And so I said to my superintendent, I'm like, could I be on this group? Like, well, you didn't go through that training. Why don't you start your own group? I'm like, yeah. So then I got together and I found out, what is Jenny doing? How is she working that? And now there's the Alamance-Burlington School System Teacher Advisory Council, which I've handed off to our new district TOI. I'm still on it as a member, but not as the leader anymore. And what's so great is that next year when he passes it off, it's just something that hopefully in perpetuity, and we can keep adding our teachers of the year and have the group be even bigger and bigger, because the perspectives that you see at different schools and the different subject matters, and even just to have a place for teachers to talk to like-minded people and be heard, was so powerful, because it's a group that has always been a solution finding group. You may come in and say, oh, we're really frustrated with da 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 da, and what if we this. And so it's really nice to see a group that isn't complaining, they're solution finding. And hopefully, Susan, if you want to speak to how yours has been going too, because I know yours is a fledgling project as well.
Yeah, no, I was so excited to have had a model to try and replicate, and Jenny was so generous with sharing as much information as she could to help it be successful. And, you know, a product of the past 18 months has been an emergence of an awareness that teachers are not involved in the sharing of information and sometimes the decision making at the local level. And that was certainly the case in our local district. It was the perfect alignment of priorities, so to speak. And so the timing was right. And we just launched what we're calling our Educator Advisory Council. And it's made up of school board members, the superintendent, cafeteria staff, teachers of the year from across the district. I'm facilitating it alongside the current district teacher of the year for the year. And then I believe the idea is he would be taking over next year with the next district teacher of the year. But already what we're seeing is a greater sense of transparency, a greater sense of accountability. People are bringing issues and priorities unemotionally, you know, with the right kind of emotion, not with anger or vitriol or distrust, but wow, we're all sitting in this room with shared priorities. So how can we collaborate to find solutions? And it actually was almost the right word, I think, would maybe be mesmerizing how easily people just within 20 minutes came to the willingness to find a solution in that moment. You know, an issue came up locally around mental health supports for students and how understaffed the agency is in our district. We had the superintendent, the head of the school board, teachers, IAs, all able to speak to the ramifications of that and then offer solutions. You know, let's develop a new MOU with a new organization. It saved so much time, and it almost felt like I could see the trust increase just within minutes. And the idea, like Kelly was saying, though, is that it be in perpetuity. So really what and it speaks to our vision so much, this idea that a network can become a firmly entrenched way of being for educators in our state. And that it's not going to come to fruition unless we have these very strong local entities that can start to speak to the larger entities and so on. So it's been exciting to see what seems to be state priorities aligning with our priorities, aligning with the need for them at the local level. I mean, it all kind of feels a little bit too good to be true as far as the right moment for things to start to be enacted.
And I love how you lifted that up, Susanna, because one of the things that I've enjoyed the fact that I am now in a position where I can be an advisor to the State Board of Education. And I look forward to hearing more districts. I look forward to it. I love how Susanna said that her board members are involved in this conversation. And I believe that there is so much power in having the board members involved in the conversation of what's going on in the day-to-day in our classrooms. I think that's powerful. I think it's also very important because not every board member has taught in a classroom, right? So we don't necessarily know the day-to-day makeups of what happens there. And I think, I just think it's really wonderful that Asheville City Schools their board members are being a part of that conversation with you. I just wanted to lift that up because I just heard it and I was like, spread that, let's spread that.
We'd love to see more boards to have teacher advisors. You know, we have some boards that have student advisors, which is wonderful to lift up student voice, but we also need more current teachers to provide that feedback and that insight, because even if you've been a board member and you've been in the classroom, things change and things shift, and we're teaching in a pandemic now, and you need to hear from people that's in this pandemic teaching, and how does that look? I love how collaborative this team is and how you're bringing in other voices and being intentional about it. And that's one of the great things about North Carolina, is that we have the regional teachers of the year team and everybody's coming together. So what's been some of the feedback and advice you've been able to get from the other people that's in your sorority and fraternity? Because, you know, we have all these other predecessors who've come before you who have done great things too. So what's been some of the advice you've been able to get from some of them?
I'll start. Okay. So when I took over from Ashley Bailey, I remember as soon as I got the announcement, you're going to be the charter school North Carolina Burroughs Welcome Fund North Carolina Charter School Teacher of the Year, I immediately told her, I don't have a doctorate. How are they going to listen to me? What's going to happen? She goes, no, it's not about all the knowledge and knowing all of the grade levels and knowing how everything works and knowing how laws get passed. She goes, you are now in a position to say the same things you've been saying to your parents, to your administration, to your students, all the things you've been putting out in your community, all the positives you've been putting out on Twitter and on the internet and on your YouTube channel, Lift Tutoring, all of those things that you've been putting out there passionately. People want to hear your genuine voice, and you've been recognized for this because you are so passionate. And so her advice to me was just continue doing what you're doing. And now you will be able to be that voice for more teachers. So that really, because none of us got into this profession to see ourselves just deciding, just throw the gavel down and make decisions. We got in this profession because we're passionate about it. So when somebody gives you the recognition, says, okay, now your voice matters a little bit more. At first, we're so humble, we're thinking, not me, there's got to be somebody else. But Ashley kind of, gave me permission to have my feelings, experiences, and professionalism validated.
And Marlow, Maureen Stover, especially, even throughout our interview process, was very outspoken and encouraging around the development of relationships. And though I do agree with Jeremy, he said it all along that there's a reason this group of 9 was chosen. And, there was a really special quality to her encouragement. I think that we were ready to jump in to developing a real camaraderie because of how just out there that expectation was made for us the minute we first met.
Well, I think we had the benefit of, and it's crazy to say the benefit of the pandemic, but it really in this way was a benefit, because for us, it made us get closer, because it exposed a lot of things, but it exposed that we can't do any of the work that we do alone. And I think it would be really easy for us to get into our own spaces and our silos and want to just kind of get through at our own paces and just try to survive. But it was really in the pandemic that we learned that leaning on each other is actually what helps keep us through this. And so I think that really prepared me, especially as someone who can be more of an independent person, to really embrace being on a team and knowing that the team is really what's going to make this work stronger.
Going along with that, what Cece said, and that we have really a lot of things going on. Some of the advice we received is you're going to have so many opportunities coming at you this year with this title of Regional Teacher of the Year, and to embrace those opportunities and enjoy those opportunities. And I think a lot of us are absolutely doing that, and almost being like, okay, like at what point do we say no? When is it okay to turn down, a speaking engagement here? Or thing like that. But one of the things that my predecessor, Daniel Scott, encouraged me to participate in, because he knew what like a policy and legislation nerd, I'm a social studies person, like he knew like that was my thing, my jam. And so he encouraged me to participate in the Public School Forum's Educational Policy Fellowship Program, or EPFP. Several of the previous year's cohorts and folks going back several years have participated in that program, and several of us are participating now this year. And we've only had one meeting thus far, but I think it blew all of our minds. I think we were all kind of hooked into what we're going to learn about education policy and how education gets made and pushed through. And So I'm grateful that we were pointed in that direction, and that Burroughs Welcome Fund is sponsoring our participation in that this year for all of us who wanted to participate. We've been given that opportunity. So super grateful for that.
And I would like to say that, more like it's been said before, that Maureen has been a very influential person for our team, because she was the 2020 North Carolina State Teacher of the Year, but she's also from my county. And so I just, it was so cool just spending that time with her and talking to her. But I just learned so much just from being around her, and even from Eugenia as well, that boldness that you need to walk up to authority figures and say what you really need to say and what you need, and to advocate. Don't forget that you're an advocate, and that you advocate for other teachers and the students, and that you represent that voice. So you have access to people that most of the general population doesn't, and you don't waste that access. Like you take those opportunities and you go for it, and you have those tough and honest and professional conversations with people that have the power to make changes. And that is something that's new. I am used to having conversations, as Jeremy was saying, in the hallway with my colleagues and with my students and all this other stuff. And now I'm standing next to Superintendent Triad, and I'm just like, yeah, okay. You better shoot your shot, girl. That kind of vibe. So it's a different experience for someone like me, because I'm definitely not that kind of person that's just like bold like that by nature. But I have watched some fearless leadership, and I'm like, okay, I need to get on your level, because this is my time to go after what I've always cared about, and I want to be that great advocate for those students and my fellow teachers.
And part of that access too, I love what you just said, Nicole, is making sure that our colleagues know that they have access to us. So although we have access to numerous people now, I definitely want to make sure that my colleagues know they also have access to all of us. So part of that work and part of our mission is part of my district visits. And one of the things that I know you might have been seeing it, Marlow, I'm on District 16, but part of that work is making sure I've requested that when I visit districts to meet every district's teacher of the year. And part of that is because I want to make sure that person knows they have not only access to me, but they have access to their regional teacher of the year. So they might see me in person, but when I'm in the West, I went to Jackson County, they might see me, but they're going to get an email from Susanna that says, hey, I heard you saw Eugenia today, because we want to make sure that that line of communication is not just us giving information, but we're also gaining it. And I let those district teachers of the year know, like from the beginning, and I know Jen has probably heard me say it, Erin will hear me say it tomorrow. I let them know, you have my ear. As I sit and I listen to decisions being made, I said, don't be surprised if I send you a quick text that says, hey, can you tell me about this real quick, so that I can properly advocate for our students and for the teachers in North Carolina.
I love that. Go ahead, Kelly.
What I think ties in right with what Gina was saying is part of the reason that we're being successful as a team this year is that we had examples prior to us. And I think it especially goes back to the year that Freeburn McKinney and Julie Pittman were doing their Teacher of the Year thing. And they said, we need to be a team. Not just a person who's Teacher of the Year, but a team of Teachers of the Year. And every year it became more cohesive with each cohort. And I just feel like our cohort is bomb, or the bomb. I'm not sure if there's a preposition in there, but I think we're just such a great group that's so diverse and so fun and so caring and passionate. And I can't wait to help the next group do their thing, because how much more is it going to be in 5 years compared to what it is right now? And it's special, having this kind of connection. I can go to Tanya Smith, who's a teacher the year before me, and now I understand things are going in Elkin City schools, and I before didn't know where Elkin was. So you learn all these different things, and it's about relationships. This is such a relational job, and to have relationships with each other. When we all logged in today, I was like, these are my people, and it's so wonderful to have those relationships.
And to echo on what Kelly was saying, those relationships, but we are truly creating a network that over the years will filter out, and it's, hopefully like a domino effect. And we are just going to have something really great going on here, where there are networks of teachers who feel supported and have that access to feeling empowered.
And I'll be honest, I completely didn't know, other than I voted for my colleagues in my building to be the teacher of the year. I really didn't know that there was anything beyond that. I had no clue. I didn't know there was a state teacher of the year. I didn't know who it was, but I knew that was a thing. And so I just really, I feel very thankful and grateful to be in this position, to have the folks who came before us, and then to know about the potential that we have, again, in this climate, in the culture of educators, beliefs about educators and education in our country. I just hope that, although I feel like I'm in a little bubble and I want to make a big impact right now, I know it's going to take us time, but I just am excited for that ripple effect, and very thankful that we are where we are, and we'll try to do our best for our colleagues and our students.
That's wonderful. It's great that you have the team aspect. You can learn from one another. How has this experience changed you as an educator, or changed your perspective? Because when Gina was talking earlier, I mean, you're announced in December. Here we are now in September. So much time has gone by, and you've had so many different experiences. How has it really helped you to evolve as an educator and to evolve your thinking?
Well, it's just that beyond the four walls of your classroom, I'll say that even as a person who's taught in different districts, even different states, it's just that you really get in a bubble, as I mentioned earlier, and you don't know until you go through an experience like this, what all of these things about policy, about legislation, all of these things that affect you, and why they are what they are. And so it's just really eye-opening in terms of the massive amount of information and amount of work and people involved that affect what happens in those four walls. That has really opened my eyes.
I think
Marlow,
for me,
oh, go ahead, Jen.
I was going to say, I think for me, much like Erin said, we just kind of get focused in on what's going on either in our classroom or maybe at our building. I was always, plugged into school leadership, but very much the 9-12 silo, and never thinking about like middle school teachers and the experiences of elementary school teachers until I stepped into the facilitator position for our district teacher advisory council. And then it's like my eyes were opened up to 2/3 of our education system that I was just completely oblivious to. And so even stepping into the regional position, again, hearing about, I think some of the regional and geographic disparities that we have in our state in terms of access to resources, that has been a real concern of mine recently, and something that I hope our state is able to address with the lack of equity that resources have, kind of based on their local tax base. So that's something that's come across my radar, I think partially because of this position as Regional Teacher of the Year.
And I know for me, and I think for all of us, especially going back to NCAT, one of the perils of being in the four walls is sometimes you get things, for lack of better terms, from on high that are faceless, nameless, but it must be implemented. So it gets really easy to dehumanize that. And being on this level and being able to be in contact with people who are meeting the people making these decisions and explaining the whys behind a lot of these, no matter whether we agree or disagree with that, it has really helped humanize this whole process of this behemoth that we call the education system. And so sometimes even though it's helped us expand, for me personally, it's helped me take a step back, because instead of reacting, whether positively or negatively, just take a step back. Okay, who was trying to do the best by kids, and why did they think this was a good idea? whether I agree with it or disagree with it, there is a reason behind why this happened. And to do my job better, I must start with they are trying to do their best. And so it really has helped humanize this whole experience, because it really helped us, like I said before, okay, if they're doing something in the Northeast that seems completely, why would they be doing that? Oh, well, now I completely understand the Northeast, so that's why this came about, or the Sandhills, or even speaking personally, other charter schools and things like that, because they're all around in different regions. So it's really helped. It's really easy to have emotional, non-logical reactions to things that you don't humanize, and being able to see other people in this process as all of us as educators, as human beings. It sounds cliche, but if you don't really think about it, and you don't get to meet and talk to those people, it's very easy to have a nameless, faceless them approach to something. And I know that's one thing we've all, it's been able to help us with.
I think one thing that this year has really caused me to focus a lot on is the absence of student voice in decision making, because we've been doing a lot of focus on trying to increase teacher voice in the ways that decisions are made in this state. But as that happens, of course, we have a lot of access to students, but we don't have a lot of genuine opportunities for students to give feedback or anything outside of formal surveys. And so I think that's something that I've started to try to get a lot more feedback in my own classroom and in my school. But I think that is something that I've definitely want to take into a larger level and kind of spread throughout the region, because our students are the ones who are being affected by these choices most directly, and they have the least amount of input into what decisions are being made.
And like along with Cece was saying, just realizing that I didn't know how teachers were able to ever have voice in anything. It's kind of like what Jeremy was saying. It's like, oh, we're doing this now. This is our initiative. And 5 years later, we'll try something else. We'll try something else. And being in this position, you kind of understand why, but then you also realize the weight that you're in a position that you can help teacher voice be heard, and what a responsibility that is. And for me, it's felt like a very vulnerable place to be too, because you're like, why me, right? How did this happen? But now it's like, well, how can I serve? What can I do? How can I understand, like Jenny, how can I understand what's going on, not in my grade level or in my school type setting, but across the whole district, and how can I get it? So having that connection with other district teachers of the year and other regional teachers of the year and the teachers at all kinds of different schools is so important. And that's why these teacher leadership councils that are going up in all the different regions are so important, just to help us gather that information. So when Gina comes and says, hey, what's your opinion about this? I don't go, oh, I don't know, ask somebody else, and go, I know who I need to talk to in Forsyth County who can give me an answer on that one.
And I think it's just been a really positive experience for all of us working together to see the transformation that can begin and hopefully continue through these positive conversations and real conversations and realities that we have learned from each other, both each other and our predecessors. It's been eye-opening and, something that has changed me as an educator for the better.
Personally, I think that it's hard for me to separate this experience from the pandemic, because this has all been happening at the same time, right? And so this, I think I have more empathy. I think I have more empathy for a lot of people, in the sense that you want to improve, you want to keep moving forward, but you always have to acknowledge the weight of what's going on. And so I'm looking at my students sitting in the desk, and they're trying to still keep their grades up. They're trying to still show up every day. They're trying to stay engaged, and there's still a pandemic going on, and they have issues, and they have this family in intensive care units, and they're showing up every day. And I'm looking at them, and I'm like, child, it's you see this pressure, you see them wanting to be their best, to contribute the most they can, and they're carrying this weight. And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at, this blessing and this honor that I've been given in the middle of a pandemic, and we've all been given that, and the challenge of balancing all of that, wanting to be your best and do your best and not miss the moment, but having to acknowledge that something big is happening. There's an elephant in the room. Something big is happening in the background. And so still extending that grace to self and to the kids and to others. It's a tightrope walk, I think. We have to navigate these spaces, and we have to be conscientious when we are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, when we feel like, we've given enough, we need to fill up our cup a little bit before we can give some more, and realize that our students are people too. They're younger, but they're whole people, and they care about their future, but they also have what's happening in the present to deal with as well. So I've become more conscientious and empathetic and more patient, just because of this entire experience of wanting to do my absolute best, but feeling my limitations at times as well. And I remind myself, my students feel that way as well.
And other teachers do as well. So what would you all actually say to teachers? I mean, we're in this pandemic, and we had a really busy summer with summer programming and such. Teachers are just pulled in so many different directions. How are you also keeping yourself motivated and excited about this work, but also helping to motivate and excite your peers? Because in addition to this great role, you're a role model and people are looking to you and feeding off of your energy as well. So how do you keep yourself encouraged and keep your peers encouraged?
I think camaraderie is at the heart of it for me. So, I mean, it kind of to bridge from the last question, I think something I've taken from this experience is just the sheer power of learning to depend on other people. I think I'm echoing something that Cece said at the beginning also, this idea that we have fewer resources now than we did before for lots of different reasons and in lots of different ways. And the more that is taken, the more it's necessary to collaborate and to rely on one another. I've had a colleague out this entire year thus far who's been ill, and to watch the way that the school has provided consistent and strong support for these kids. I mean, it's like they never missed a beat. I've been just encouraging everyone around me to not, I think it's so easy to think, God, I'm just stuck in my anger that we don't have the same support that we've had before this experience, or that we don't have, just not to get mired in that, but to focus on what we can do because of it. How can we help each other? But I also think, and we were just talking about this as a group 2 days ago. Was it 2 days ago? 1 day ago? Yesterday? How easy it is for one to get totally overcommitted and drained in this moment. And so how important it is to allow oneself to rely on other people. I think it's going to be the thing that kind of gets me through. And I've been trying to encourage other people to think of it the same way.
For me, it's been, I think, two things, and it's a great opportunity for me to grow as an individual. So it's good that I'm learning these lessons, is that I listen. I just stop and I just listen to what people have to say, and not listen to respond, but listen just to digest and to understand. And the other one is for me to say, what can I do to help you? What can I do to help you be successful, and not go in assuming I've got the answer. This worked over in Sandhills. It's going to work in the Piedmont. No, but find out what it is that that my region needs, that my districts need, and do my very best to help connect. Because it goes back to the relationships. We're connectors now, and we're an opportunity here that we can find the right people to help people. And so for me, it's those kind of marching orders to just really listen and do what I can to help people where they want to be helped.
I know for me as a elementary educator, and specifically with kindergarten, but elementary as a whole, because the pandemic shifted everything to home, and we've also had to teach elementary while also teaching parents how to teach elementary. I think we were so hyper-focused the past year and a half on making sure that got accomplished that I have often forgotten some of these kids that were 3.5 when this started they probably didn't know if they would ever go have school normally. And I know one of the most difficult parts for me as a teacher of younger little humans has been, oh my goodness, they came in with this, or they came with that with nothing, and it gets demoralizing a little bit because you're, oh my god, can I do this for another year? And so I would say to all the teachers, and I know one thing that has kept me going is, and it was that question was right on time, Marlow, because it was this week that I realized, oh my goodness, this is what relationships feel like again. Because last year we weren't really able to dig deep in that because we had a screen between us. Even if we were in person, there were still screens between us. There was still constant, we were so busy that we didn't get a chance to breathe and actually talk about the newest episode of What If, the new game that came out with PlayStation 5, the new, thing that you like, all the movies are starting to come back. We're starting to build relationships, or I'm reading about a turkey that's going to school. And why do you think he was not feeling well? Well, he didn't treat other people right. Oh my goodness, we're having turn-in talks again. Like, it's not normal, but it's a lot of the whys of why we continue to do it are coming back to fruition. And I would implore all the teachers that are listening to really live in that moment with your kids. This is why you got into it. And it is wonderful when they can start to build communities again, because I think that's what we missed last year, not on purpose, but that's what we truly craved for last year was community, and we couldn't build that. And that's why it felt like things were things were happening, but nothing was necessarily getting done. And now we're starting to see that tree bloom again, and it feels good. But the beginning of the year with this coming back, it was our third graders haven't, been in schools, and they're in fifth grade now, and they're 3.5-year-olds, and they're 5 now, and then 5-year-olds, they're in second grade. We've forgotten that we weren't really able to make that establishment. So yes, overwhelmed and overworked and tired is what we've been, but it's kind of like not light at the end of the tunnel. The light's here, and you just have to sit in that moment and kind of be with it. And I'm very happy that those kids have been waiting their whole life to have a classroom. So.
Well, and to echo on that and what others have said, just the joy of those relationships with our colleagues, with our families, and with the students. I teach the younger ages too, with first grade, and what I've seen this year is just the joy of the relationships that they have craved, both with their teachers and their school family and their classmates. And so it's not only, for us, that lesson of teamwork and collaboration, but seeing how awesome that is for our students as well.
And I can just echo what everyone's been saying. And Jeremy, I mean, you touched my heart with your words, because I had to breathe and enjoy the kids. Like, they're fun. They are interesting. I mean, no more boring days for me. Because there's not a boring day with the classroom full of children. And sometimes it drives me nuts, but I remember that this is why I show up, so this is why I'm here, like you were saying. So take a moment, breathe. Yeah, the lesson plan may be going out the window right now. Yes, somebody may be acting a little bit off right now, but you get to watch children in their developmental stages, and you get to be a part of impacting those things in a positive manner. And children are not adults, they are becoming, and we get to be a part of that becoming. And that is a beautiful thing. It's a gift, and it's powerful. I mean, when they walk out of your classroom, y'all know that we are impromptu counselors. Okay, people will talk to us about their teachers from second grade, and they remember what was said to them. And it's like, we have that level of impact. I've been in the DMV giving a counseling session. Okay, took me a woman older than I was, talking about her second grade teacher and what was said. And so we are powerful beyond measure, even in the middle of a pandemic. And so, I don't take that for granted. When I show up, our presence, when we show up, we are making a difference, and our impact it will outlast the pandemic, and it will go on for generations, and we can't forget that.
I'm going to add just something to Nicole's thing, that for all teachers, it's okay to be exhausted. And it's okay to not know everything. And it's okay to say, I need help. And it's okay to ask your administrator or someone, say, can you come and watch my class? Because I just don't know what to do. So it's okay to be vulnerable. And it's scary and it's hard, but just embrace it and go for it. And the younger you can do that, my goodness, the better off you're going to be.
But you know what, Kelly, to go off of what you and Jeremy, all of you have been saying, it's like if you just look to the kids, it's kind of a really good reminder to be fearless with vulnerability, right? Because I mean, if they are anything, they are honest with their feelings the majority of the time. And something I've realized is that, man, I spent too much time with adults last year. I'm so fed by, I mean, y'all excluded. I'm just so fed by that kid energy of curiosity and vulnerability and righteousness, and I've been wowed already a month into the school year, just totally wowed. And despite the exhaustion, it's kind of a good reminder that they could be a great mirror, or like I want to reflect back to them what they're showing me, because they are sort of they're brave, and say brave. And I'd like to mirror that as well,
What an honor to be in community with you all. So grateful for this time. Are there any final remarks before we close our program? You all have just, my little coat might have been a little empty, but y'all done filled it up. I can go on another day. So thank y'all so much. Any final thoughts before we leave?
We just appreciate you, Marlow. Tar Heel Teachers is our vision, our mission, and we just listening to you and listening to your shows and the folks that you lift up and elevate it is everything. So thank you to Tar Heel Teachers. Thank you, Marlow Artis. We appreciate you.
And thank you to Gina, because I think it goes without saying that we have a captain who is also fearless and brave and full of the right kind of sass and inspires us all the time. So it would not be this team without our coach. So that goes without saying also.
And I indeed appreciate you all so much. Thank y'all so much. And thank you so much, Marlow. I guess my final word would be is for all that we've been discussing and our mission to elevate educators, it gets to what I'm truly passionate about. And I know what all of the people on the call are passionate about is at the end of the day, I don't work for anyone else but children. And that's my goal. That's my mission. That's who I'm elevating educators for. So I think that's all I got to say. I'm gonna sign off on that one. That's all. That's who it's about.
That is so true. Thank you all so much for joining us for this conversation. We'd like to thank our audience so much for watching. We look forward to seeing you soon.